Hello and welcome to the Knitting Traditions Podcast. My name is Inga and this is my little corner on the internet where I talk about my knitting. I feel like it's been a while and I really wanted to check in. I hope that you are well wherever you are and whenever you're watching this. It's summer here and it's been quite busy. But I do have some knitting to show you and some crochet actually, because it was really warm for a while. But we can start with what I am wearing. This I think I made this last year, if not the summer before. Time goes by so quickly, don't you agree? This is the Seaborn Tee by Hannah from Herb Garden Knitwear. And it's a beautiful striped top with this kind of lace edging on the sleeves. It is also on the bottom hem of the body. And if I'm not mistaken, I believe Hannah's design is quite clever in the way that you can do a different circumference for your arms compared to the size that you choose for your body, which is really nice. And I do think I went up a size for the sleeves, and I used sandnes garn for this. I don't remember the colorways. This is almost white, it's like a beigey white, and this one is a mustard yellow. And I think for the mustard yellow you need less than a skein. I don't remember how many I used for the cream, because at that point I didn't take notes, but I do take notes now. So for all my finished objects and whips today, I have more accurate information. I follow the pattern as instructed and I'm really happy with it. It's quite beautiful and I don't really wear it enough. I should probably make a wool version. I find that I don't wear my summer knits that much at all. I gravitate towards my woolly wools. In the summer, I would wear a dress and then I'll have a wool sweater with me in case it gets cold, and I gravitate more towards that than tops and shorts and that kind of outfits. What else? That's all the knitting that I am wearing. Highly recommend the pattern, you should check it out. And I have some finished objects to show you, so maybe we can start with the most long-term project, which is finally done. I might have forced it a little bit to be done. I made some kitchen towels last year using Pearl Soho's color field hand towels. It's a free pattern from Pearl Soho which uses 2 colors and linen stitch. And after making that, I wanted to make a pillow cover, and I did make a pillow cover. I started this last summer and then it was put aside, the whip was put aside for months, and I picked it back up again this summer when I was in Turkey for a week, and I did a few rows there, but it was just too hot. It was more than 100 Fahrenheit, more than 39 Celsius in the shade. So that's why I also have some crochet to show you in a little bit. I needed something smaller. But yes, it's kind of hard to see from afar because of the 2 very high contrast colors. But if you look up close, you can see it. Now, the pattern from Pearl Soho is knit flat. This I converted to knit in the round, which is actually a lot easier to memorize. So, how I remember how to do the linen stitch and make it look like this with 2 colors, because I did look on YouTube, because I'd forgotten how to do it, to try and find a resource for it, but all the links that I could find kind of used the equal amounts of 2 colors, while this one uses 75% black and then 25% of the contrast colors. So what I do is I knit one and then I slip one with the yarn in front. I do that the whole round, and then when I get to like the first stitch of the round, I switch it. So if I knit a stitch, the last round, I will now slip that one, and the one that I slipped, I will now knit. So knit one, slip one with the yarn in front, and then alternate between 2 rounds, and you just go like that. And in order to get the different colors, I do 3 rows with black, and then the 4th row I will do with the contrast color. And I just follow the pattern, and it turns out like this. And I probably could have knitted longer. I had a flap of fabric here, which if the pillow was not as bulky, it might have laid flat and nice, but it was kind of bulging out. So I ended up sewing it together on the bottom. So hopefully I'll never have to take it off and clean it. If I do, I'll just snip a stitch and unravel it, because this is the beginning of the work. So these stitches are safe as long as I don't cut the wrong one. On the top, when I felt like I had a long enough pillow, I turned it inside out, and then I did a 3 needle bind off, and it turned out like this on top. Really quite neat. So I felt like since it was black on top, I could sew with black on bottom and it would kind of match. And you can see here, it's not the neatest beginning of round, but the other side is fine. So I'll just put it on the couch so that all sides can appear except the messy one. But it's handmade, it's fine. I don't mind it. And the yarn that I used for it is down here somewhere among my whips, because I wanted to show you, because I couldn't remember for the life of me. It's some yarn that I bought in Turkey last year. It's the gazzal organic baby cotton, and it's 100% cotton, Ecotech certified. The color is, what is the color? I used the black color, which is color 430, and the greenish beige is the color 431. And I thought they worked really nice together. It looks quite interesting, and the further up you get, you can see more of the linen stitch details. Because you only knit every 2nd stitch, it takes quite a while to knit with it. So it definitely is a good long-term project. It's a good travel project. I did get sick and tired of it. You might as well. But the result is nice, and I think I'll take a break from linen stitch for a while at least. I do have more of this yarn. Not sure what I will make with it. It's a nice cotton yarn. I can just store it away and then find some other purpose for it at some point. And yes, I don't remember, but I think I used 3 balls of the black and 1 of the grayish beige, but don't hold me to that. I'd rather always have extra yarn than too little, but that's because I'm scared of running out of yarn, and I'll always find a purpose for the leftovers someday. I tell myself. The next project that I finished, that you've also seen before if you are a regular viewer. If you're new, hi! I hope you enjoy this knitting content. The cabin episode, I showed you some gifts that I had started. That was the Theo Bloomers. Oh look, it's almost matching. The Theo Bloomers by Undestrikk, which is a Norwegian designer, I think. But this pattern is also in English, which is what I bought, because reading knitting patterns is almost a skill on its own, and I've read a lot more English knitting patterns than Norwegian, and I just prefer them. Even though English is not my first language, I do prefer the knitting language in them because it's what I'm used to. So this is the Theo Bloomers. It has an elastic band in the waist. I used some yarn that I had in stash from Setesdal. It's the baby wool lanett, and I had quite a bit of these 2 colors that I bought on the outlet store from Setesdal. If you ever go to Norway on the west coast, I recommend the Sandnes garn mill, the Alless mill, the Rauma mill, but you'll probably need a car because it's several hours between them. But yes, this is the 3-month-old size, I think. And it used quite little yarn, the white almost nothing. And after doing this, I thought maybe I could make 2 with the ball of brown. So I started a 9-month-old, which you can see is it's quite a bit larger. So I did have to break into another ball of brown to finish this one. But I had plenty in my stash, so no biggie. So I have a 3-month-old and a 9-month-old bloomer to gift. And I used some elastic thread band, whatever you would call it, that I found at a local yarn store that I just put through and tied a knot. So it's not very, I can barely feel it, but if it's too tight, I could always just pull it through the ribbing, which is folded over, and cut it and replace it with a bigger one. Or if it's too loose, I can just make it more tight by doing a knot on a smaller circumference and trimming the ends. So yeah, 2 bloomers for gifts. It was quite an easy and quick knit, but I do find baby knits a bit more fidgety because you're always doing something. Because it's so small, there's always some changes, some increases, decreases, the elastic band. Not a fan of having to put in elastic bands. It's just, finishing isn't my favorite. I will weave in ends. I've gotten better. I don't mind it as much, but if there's more stuff like having to sew down folded edges and elastic bands, I'm a little bit I tend to put it off. But yes, I finished 2 gifts. I have 2 gifts. Good on me. And this is the yarn. I have one with the ball band if you wanted to see how it looks. This is the baby wool lanett. It's a really nice yarn to knit for children and babies. It's 100% merino, but I don't think it's superwash. Or is it? It doesn't say that it's superwash. It says it's 100% merino. So I think it's just 100% merino, which is really nice. Just wash it on a wool program with wool soap and lay flat to dry. I wash all my wools in the machine. And I was on a roll, so I cast on another baby knit because I visited Matthias's family, and there's a yarn store there, and they had some yarn that I really wanted to try, but it was quite expensive, so I didn't want to buy a quantity for adults. So since I have many babies to knit for in my life, I bought just 2 balls of this. It's the Lang Donegal. It's 100% merino. This is not superwash, and it's a tweedy yarn. And I just thought the colorway was stunning. So yeah, I got 2 of these, and the ball contains 190 meters per 50 grams, and the color is 789.0067. So I got 2 of them, and I made the Alless Cardigan by petiteknit, and this is the size 9 to 12 months, and I used probably 1.5 skein, maybe a bit more. I used the recommended needles, which is 3 and 4 millimeter needles. The gauge is 21 stitches, and I think it took me 2 days, maybe 3 days to knit this. The only thing remaining is buttons and buttonholes. So for this pattern, you are supposed to make the buttonholes after finishing the sweater. I kind of wish it wasn't like that now, because now it's an extra step of finishing that I am dreading to do. She says to make buttonholes afterwards with buttonhole stitches. I couldn't find a link on how to do that. If you have one, I'd love to know, because I am not sure how to make these buttonholes. I was considering maybe just leaving it as an open cardigan, but it will tend to roll in a bit, so I should probably put buttons and buttonholes onto this so that the recipient can wear it more easily. It was a really nice yarn to knit with, but it was quite fragile. If you had too much tension, it would break. So it will be interesting to see how it will wear. The buttons, I already have some buttons in stash that I'm going to use, just some tiny little wooden buttons, and I think they will look cute. Quite hobbity, actually. And this is from Go Handmade. It was carried at my local yarn store. So I need to find a very thin needle to be able to fasten those buttons on here and make the buttonholes. This pattern is supposed to have a silk mohair with another yarn, but I wanted to use this yarn and also silk mohair. I think I will avoid the first year of life for babies because of the fluff. If it's very if it pills a lot, it'll get into the airways and whatnot. So I think this is a really nice option. It will feel really soft. The swatch that I made softened up beautifully. Now this hasn't been blocked yet, so it will get a lot more smooth and drapey, but I do want to put in the buttons and buttonholes first. So I need to get around to that, but it would be nice to know how to do it before I do it. I can always fudge something, but you know, would be nice to do it right when I'm gifting it. And the last finished objects I actually finished this morning, and this is, I've had this kit in my stash for quite a while. And this sweater is a dream knit of mine of sorts. I've really wanted the product, but I haven't been wanting to knit it. So I'm running the Dream Knit Cal, which is running all year. If you have a knit or a make that you've really wanted, even if you've already cast it on but it's a lingering whip, you know, get back to it, make it, use the hashtag DreamKnitCal, and at the end of the year I'll find some prizes to ship out. But this is one that I've finally gotten around to, and I'm so happy it's done because it feels so nice and it's just going to be the perfect snuggly sweater. And you're probably wondering what the name is. It's Alless Kaganser from Rauma. I bought the kit ages ago. So this is the kit, Alless Kaganser, and the name is at the bottom here. It will focus. Alless Kaganser, and it uses Rauma's own yarn, which is the Rauma alpaca linen. So it's an alpaca linen blend. And I knit the medium size, which required 5 balls of yarn. And I have this much left of the ball. And I made one alternation to this pattern. The sleeves are supposed to be cinched in on the bottom, but I had a look at Instagram of people who had made it, and I generally don't like when it cinches in. I like the wide sleeves, so I just ignored that instruction and I knit the sleeves straight. And I have not blocked it yet because I just finished it. I weaved in the ends. It's really soft, the alpaca linen. I like it a lot more than I thought I would. If I were to make it again, the bottom of the sweater uses a smaller needle, so it has a little bit of goes in. I would not do that again because I prefer the straight shape. But yeah, it's a really beautiful, snuggly throw-on sweater that I'm very happy to finally have as a finished object. I am mostly a process knitter, so all over ribbing, not the most fun for me, but it is a finished object that I really wanted to have, so I'm very happy with it. That was all of, oh, it's getting warm. That was all of my finished objects, but I do have some whips to show that I have been working on. So one of my forever whips is this garter blanket. And I have finally finished the first ball of yarn, which is Setesdal Uruguay. It's 800 meters per 100 grams. So I finished the first ball and I'm currently, oh, I put some needle stoppers on through the web. I'm currently working on my second ball because I have 2 balls in this colorway. And let's see how, yeah. So I joined, you can see here, I joined the second. So I actually have made quite a few centimeters with the second one already. And I'm just going to continue until I run out and then see how big the size is. I think I have 360 stitches on these, 3.25 millimeter needles. I'm using some wooden needles because I feel more safe taking them on a plane that they won't be taken away from me than thin metal needles. And I also have needle stoppers on them, so far no problem. And yeah. Well, if it's not big enough, I think what I'm going to do is I have 2 balls of white, and I think I'm going to then use probably 2 balls of white, but then it's going to take forever. So I'm hoping, since it's garter, you know, you can stretch it quite far out when you're blocking it. So I think I'm going to finish the 2 and hopefully it'll be wide enough when blocked. If not, I'll bite the bullet and it'll just take me years to finish. It's mindless. It's an easy to take with you knit. It doesn't really take a lot of space because it's such a thin yarn, so it compresses into small spaces. But it's also not very entertaining. So yeah, that is one whip. Another whip that's gotten a lot of love since last time. Throw something on the floor. Is my Setesdal kofte, another pattern from Rauma. I made a kofte last year in green and white, and I wanted to make another one this year in white and orange. The one I made last year was quite long, while this one is going to be just above my hips, I think. And the Setesdal kofte is a very traditional Norwegian kofte, which is basically a steeked cardigan with colorwork. And it uses very traditional motifs, very simple, 2 colors. The background color is usually white or off-white or like a natural color. And a lot of people use the same background color for several projects so that they can use up all the yarn and not you have yarn left over. You can put the extra ball you have into the cuffs, the ribbing of the next one, and it all looks quite well. So this is the body, and the body was not done last time. The body is done now, and it's going to be steeked up the front and steeked here for the neckline. And I'm gonna have to measure the sides for where the armholes will be, and sew and steek there as well. And I have finished one sleeve already, and so you can see here I made quite wide sleeves because I don't like them to be tight, and I kind of want my koftes to be able to fit more people and to be a layering piece, so I can throw it on as a jacket because it's quite warm with the Rauma Finull. Because it's all over colorwork, it's essentially 2 layers of wool, and it blooms quite a lot when you wash it, so it kind of fills out any gaps. It's quite minimally treated yarn, so it's a non-superwash 100% wool, so it has all the good properties of wool that you want in a layering piece. The dirt repellent, odor repellent, water repellent, since it still has some lanolin. You could treat wool with lanolin to give it more of those water repelling properties. Yeah, so it's just a really nice outer layering piece. So all I have to do now is the second sleeve, and I have gotten to the lice of the sleeve portion, which goes by quite quickly. And once I finish the sleeve, I'll then have to do the steeking, which is always a bit scary, but I'll just have to trust the process if I want to have this finished. And then the button bands, which is something that feels like it takes forever as well, but it needs to be done. So, gotten quite a lot done on this project, but still a bit to go. And I am not looking forward to the steeking and button bands, so it's kind of, I haven't knit on it for a few days now, but I'll get back to it. Almost there. And I did bring with me my petiteknit kumulus tee on vacation. It's knit on 3mm needles. It's a good travel knit because of that. I am considering turning it into a dress. I have knit a tiny bit on the body and then I put it on hold to finish the sleeves first, because if I want to make it into a dress, the yarn that I bought extra is not the same lot. So I want the sleeves to be the same dye lot as the top. And then I'll do helical knitting on the body before going into the skirt with the new dye lot. So I'm on the sleeve right now. I found that the yarn was a little bit slippy when I'm knitting with the small circulars, and I just need to be in the right mindset to sit and look at this black yarn when knitting with it, which is fine, but it's just I've been wanting to knit on other things, so I haven't finished the sleeve, but I'll get around to that as well. The yarn is my favorite summer yarn. It's the bamboo and cotton blend, 50-50. Several brands have them. Viking garn bambino is this one. The color is 403, so it's very dark black. And it's 176 meters to 50 grams. It looks like fingering to me. And yeah, it's so nice and soft. I'm really looking forward to having this. It's not showing up on screen because it is so dark and it's light, but just trust me, it's gonna be so nice when it's done. I just need to get around to it, like so many other whips in my life right now. And I think I'm gonna put it aside with all the yarn so I don't lose everything. Plant yarns are so slick, so they have a tendency to unravel and tangle on themselves, which is not something that I'm going for in my life right now. So, last whip to show you guys today is what I started in Turkey. I was too warm to knit. I just couldn't have fabric on me. And what I had brought with me was the pillow and the t-shirt and the blanket. And all of those have quite a bit of fabric now. So I had a search for crochet blankets. I do have some in the works already, which I'll show you in a later episode when I've done some progress. But those are more granny stripes, and that will create a lot of fabric as well, right? So I was thinking granny squares, tiny little things, and then assemble them later. So I went to my favorite yarn store in Alanya, where my parents have a house. It's called Samanyolu. I don't know how to pronounce it, sorry. But they had a power outage when I was there, so it was pitch black inside the store. But I kind of knew what I was going for. I was looking for some cotton yarn that wasn't too thin. and that had a lot of nice colors, like bright, beautiful colors. And I found some, and I kind of picked all the different colors and then some whites to go with it, and then it was quite affordable, so I was hoping it would just work nice together when in the daylight. So the yarn that I got was the Alless Cotton Gold, and I thought it was 100% cotton, but it's actually a cotton acrylic blend. But when crocheting with it, I don't mind how it feels, and it's going to be a good blanket to gift or throw in the machine, so that's nice. And I have so many colors. This is the color that I'm using for all the centers of the granny squares, and then I'm using this for the white to join them all. And then in between, I'm making flowers with, I think I'm just gonna show you the basket. Because yes, I bought a basket in Turkey as well and brought it home in my suitcase like a crazy yarn lady. So I got all these pretty sort of summery spring colors. And the pattern that I'm using is a free pattern, but it's one of those blog post patterns, and I found it difficult to read with all the ads and interruptions. So there is an option to buy it as a downloadable PDF, and I did that. The pattern that I got was the Dainty Daisy Granny Square Blanket Pattern by Just Be Crafty, or Brittany Coughlin. And I'm using a 6mm crochet hook just because I'm not using the recommended yarn, and this would be in like the upper end of the recommended hook size for this yarn. And so far I have made 57 granny square entries for this blanket, and I'm not sure how many I will make. I think I'll just keep making them until I think the size is good. So, and it's all unraveling. I keep them in this little messy bag that I sewed a few years ago. It's a mess, but it works for this. So I have made quite a few crochet flowers and squares already. So I've been making the centers in bulk, and then I've done the flowers in bulk, and then on the plane ride home, probably like 5 hours, 6 hours, I did all of the white edgings for the flowers. And I just think they look really cute in all the different colors, and I'm really looking forward to seeing how they all combine when I'm done. I'm gonna make approximately the same amount in each color. So I got like some purple and light pink and darker pink and bright orange and mute orange and blue. Lots of colors. I got some light green and more mossy green. So yeah, lots and lots of squares to be joined at some point. And it's not something that's a rush. It's going to be one of those projects that I'll probably take with me on vacation. Maybe the flowers themselves will not be a very portable thing because there are so many different skeins or balls of yarn to be used. But the centerpiece, you know, I only need the light yellow. And then if I do a lot of flowers, then I could take them and a white ball with me like I did on the plane and just crochet those, which was a really nice thing to do on a plane, just like knitting. And it was quite productive, if I may say so myself. But more need to be made. I just need to get around to that as well. But I think now that I'm able to actually knit with wool, I will do that. And then when it gets really warm again, I will continue with a cotton crochet project. that was all of the works in progress. I have some yarn to show you that was sent. Let me get it up here. I have it lying in a bag so I wouldn't get it mixed up. So there's another podcaster here in Norway who's called Britt. She actually has the same last name as me, or my middle name from my mom's side. And she lives on a farm further north in Norway. And they have Norwegian wild sheep on their farm, which is the oldest sheep breed in Norway and my favorite. My grandparents on their farm, they used to have some as well. And this is the kind of sheep that can really be outside all year round. And their wool used to be used by the Vikings. And it has some really nice properties. Britt has a podcast as well, which she has English subtitles to. So if you want to learn more about the Norwegian wild sheep, if that's something that's of interest to you, she has a lot of facts about them on her podcast. She also has some videos together with her husband, who is the farmer, where he also gives information about the Norwegian wild sheep. Now, she has made some yarn from her sheep, and she does sell some, not in very big quantities, but some, and I will include her information below if you're interested. She will ship abroad, but be aware that shipping from Norway is expensive. There is also another store in Norway that carries Norwegian wild sheep. I will put it below, and I know that Hillesvåg also has made some sock yarn with Norwegian wild sheep. So their wool today is definitely not getting the attention that it deserves. It is a very woolly wool, comparable to the Icelandic sheep maybe. So it's not for those with really sensitive skin to prickly yarn, but it's really warm and like that earthy feeling, which I love. So she very generously gifted me some of her yarn to try, and I'm currently looking into what to make with it. So maybe you can help me out. I'm thinking that I want to make a cardigan to have, you know, all those good properties of the wool as an outer piece to throw on. And she sent me mainly this gray color, which is I think it's the medium. It's the Vill-Ulla color. And this is spun at the Selbu spinning mill, and it's 200 meters per 100 grams. So like a DK, but when looking at the yarn itself, I would say somewhere between a sport and a DK. And she also sent me a few balls of a darker color, which is the Balder color, which is the name from Norse mythology. So I could do some color work, but I am gravitating towards using just this color for the cardigan. I have enough for it, and then save this for some accessory. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I have 7 balls of this, so 1,400 meters of this yarn, and I am considering maybe pairing it with a mohair to kind of soften it up a little bit and also achieve a thicker gauge. Because I think I was thinking about, is it the Sunday cardigan or the novice cardigan? I haven't made it, but it does look like it would be a nice layering piece. I would be interested in a garter cardigan, just because that would involve less purling. So Laura from Penrose Knits, I know that you have one in the makes, so I would highly appreciate if that one is ready soon, because I want to cast on a garter cardigan. But if you know of any like good cardigan patterns that would work with this, which is not too tricky for the brain, I need something mindless. That's what I want to make. And I want it to be like a staple piece, something to throw on. And I'm really excited to knit with this. It has like a little bits of hay in there, which I love, and I think it's going to bloom beautifully when washing. And if you can see, it has those garter hairs sticking out. So for a lot of people, it's the garter hairs or the fibers that stick out of a yarn that will be prickly. I don't mind it, especially if it's a cardigan, because then it avoids this area, which is my most sensitive in this area. And if I combine it with a silk mohair, then that's going to soften it up even more. So I'm really excited to knit with this. But its purpose of this whole thing is not actually to sell yarn. She just wants to give more attention to the Norwegian wild sheep because it's not getting the attention that it deserves, and I completely agree. It's a really cool sheep, and they need some more love. They deserve some more love, and I hope too that more people will try out this yarn. Those people who enjoy the rustic yarns, this is a really rustic yarn for you to try. And so warm, so I'm excited to try it. I think that was all that I had to show today. There's quite a bit of knitting. I hope I didn't forget to say all the things that I wanted to say. I feel like, you know, when it goes several weeks between episodes, I kind of lose track of things a little bit, and I'll forget what I've talked about and not talked about, what sizes I've actually knit things up in. So luckily I'm taking notes. That is helping to remember what I've actually made. And I hope to be back in not too long, hopefully, with some more knitting content for you guys. And yeah, leave a comment below. I would love to know what you are making. Like the video if you enjoyed it, and subscribe if you want to see more. I am more active on Instagram, so if there's anything, you can always contact me there. And please join in on the knit along that's running this whole year, the Dream Knit Cal, and use the hashtag on Instagram so I can see what you're making. And I will definitely be casting on more dream knits this year. I have some yarn already planned, so we'll see when I get around to that. Until next time, take care. Bye.